Hey folks, this is going to be a little bit of an impromptu video. I had something else planned for this week, but then we got this cold snap, and right now outside we're kind of in a good place to do a test. It's about 11 below zero Fahrenheit, and according to one weather app, it says it feels like it's 31 below. So pretty cold, pretty Arctic. I was just out in it. It's about 12:30 at night here in Minnesota. I was just going to go plug the car in because we were running errands earlier in the day, and it's pretty much just been sitting in the cold, in the garage, but cold, since about 4. And at that time, it had 63% battery. And last year, as I was talking to some friends who are avid outdoors people, some cousins actually, and they were like, well, what would happen if you took this, electric vehicle out ice fishing and left it out on the lake all day while you were fishing? What would that do to the battery? So I had grand plans last year of taking it up with them up north on a fishing trip and just leaving it out for a day or so. Schedules never worked out, and so that never happened last year. But it was a goal to test this year. And in the midst of COVID, we haven't had schedules meet up this year either. So I thought, well, this is the perfect opportunity, this very cold weekend we're experiencing here and in a lot of places across the country. The battery's already been cold for a while. Last night we charged it up to 80%. Like I said, we did some errands this morning, and then in the afternoon was our last errand. So it's cold already. I'm going to pull it out of the garage so it's completely exposed to the elements and just let it sit. And so we'll check on it in the morning. I'm not going to check constantly because just waking it up all the time will drain some battery. But I'll check on it in the morning and then see where that is, and then maybe leave it all day. We'll see how much running around we need to do tomorrow, but I'd like to just leave it out and see how it does. And I know that's something a lot of people wonder about EVs in the cold. So let's get out to the terrible, frozen, windy outside and check how the car is right now in the morning, and then we'll see where we go from there. So I'll see you in the car. All right, in the car now, and I'm going to try to be really quick here because I don't want the car heating up for the sake of a person inside of it. Right now it's 12:49 a.m. and it says 59%, and our projected range on the energy graph is 95 miles if we were to go right now. But 59% at now 12:50 a.m. and like I said, the car hasn't been plugged in since last night overnight, and now it is not being plugged in. It's out in the driveway, and we'll see how this looks in the morning. All right, good morning. It is 10 a.m. and obviously the car is still in the driveway, still unplugged, and it is 9 below. So I just jumped in, and on the dash it said 53%. So I'll have to double check the numbers, but I think that only lost 3% overnight. So it must have been in a deep sleep, but I did have that blue snowflake icon, meaning the battery's very cold, and you can see on the energy graph our mileage went down significantly. Our available mileage went down significantly, and where you'd see your acceleration or your regen on the left-hand part of the dash binnacle, you could see all those yellow dashes, and really showing that this battery is quite cold. But because it's still doing pretty well on a charge level standpoint, I just hopped out pretty quick so it can continue just resting. It's good and cold soaked, but I'm going to let it go at least till this evening, and see where it is then, and then maybe go for a drive. But so I'd say this is pretty representative of if we did leave it on a lake overnight in northern Minnesota on a more typical day, where up there it would be colder, but still this is pretty cold. The car, I think, said 12 below, so somewhere between 9 below and 12 below, but cold regardless. And now I'm going to get back inside before I freeze to death. It is just after 4 p.m. It is 2 below 0 Fahrenheit, and still pretty cold. I have not been waking the car up, and this car doesn't have Sentry mode or anything else, so when it's asleep, it's pretty much asleep until I walk up to it. Sometimes even the app doesn't connect, but I haven't been trying to keep it just at its normal sleep state. But let's get in and see how it's doing. So I'm really impressed. This morning it was at 53%. Now it's, if I remember correctly, it's only down to 52. And the expected range hasn't dropped that much either. So it's been holding tight through the day here. I jumped out again so I could let it go back to sleep. It's really, in 24 hours since its last drive, it's only lost 11%. So in this cold, I think that's pretty good. And that wasn't when we unplugged it. That was its last drive. Until evening last night, it was in the garage where it's probably 25, 26 degrees. And then out overnight when it was minus 11, I think, when I took it out. And then real temp got down a lot, around minus 15, minus 16. So it's quite cold, and still quite cold now, even though it's warmed up to -2. But I do have to plug it in tonight. I've got a video shoot tomorrow I need to drive to, so I can't be stuck without a car tomorrow and just let this sit. But I think I'll let it go probably till I go to bed tonight before I plug it back in, and we'll see how far down it goes through the rest of this cold day. I'll catch you later. I'm going back inside. Okay, so we're getting a little bit of snow. I'm going to clean the car off here. Oh, well, I am amazed. It's only down to 51%. And the energy graph says 83 miles, so not much has changed. But you can see there's still the blue snowflake, and sorry, I'm shaking the gimbal here. We've still got the limits on regen and power. So I'll give a recap when I'm back inside. But right now I'm gonna drive it around a little bit, and oh man, it's cold. I'm going to drive it around a little bit and get a sense for how limiting that power output is. And I'm sure the regen will be absolutely nothing, but oh, all right. We'll see if we can get the GoPro going. Well, no regen, but we expected that. The acceleration has been fine on city streets. Absolutely no issues with that acceleration. And with the snow, I'm not really going to try to gun it here on this entry ramp. I'm guessing the highway is clear. It's just a dusting of snow. It's a little... Okay, punching it up to 52, 53. Yeah, so not a ton of speed here on the highway. 54. Yeah, so I'm maxed out. So you want to drive a little bit before you just jump right on the freeway, or plug in for a little bit if you can, because I'm now up to 58. I've backed off the accelerator. I've got somebody coming up behind me here. So yeah, when I punch it, I'm up to 65 now, 66. So yeah, you're going to get your highway speeds back pretty fast, but not right away. Beautiful visibility here. It's really not too bad, but when it dusts like this, you never know if there's ice below the dust. That can get tricky, but the car feels pretty stable. I'm going to try to gun it again here. And yeah, just crawling up into the 60s. There's 66. So that went from about 55 to 66, and what normally would be the 0 to 60 time. So battery is still quite cold. I've still got the blue snowflake icon. So it's going to take a while for this baby to heat up. Just from home to here, it's saying it's been about 5 miles. 5 miles now. And it's saying I'm using 645 watt hours per mile, so pretty high as it tries to warm itself back up. And my energy graph says 67 miles of range yet left driving this way, so it's using it up quickly. But the heated seat and the heated steering wheel are making this far more bearable than it was when I got in. And yeah, almost no regen. Just went south on the highway about 6.5 miles, and we'll now get back on the highway because it's almost 1 in the morning and I don't want to be testing this all night. But let's see if we have any more acceleration now. Oh yeah, it's not fast. It's definitely not Tesla fast, but getting up there. 63, 65, 66 now. Just kind of backing off because of the conditions, but yeah, definitely that second time accelerating was perfectly acceptable for a typical vehicle. Obviously, because of the visibility on the road and the conditions tonight, I am not in autopilot. This is an AP1 car, but just making sure we're safe and secure in the conditions. It doesn't feel slippery or anything, but better to be safe than in a ditch in this kind of temperature. Yeah, there is no one on the road tonight. Almost no one. Except that cop right there. It's slippery here because the person went right up the ditch. guess they exited late. Jumped part of that. Anyway, that was distracting. So very little regen coming off the highway. I had to use the brake pipe primarily for that. But our acceleration seems for the most part back. And the blue snowflake is gone, so good signs. Let's get home and recap. Alright, it's the next night now, and it was sure nice to wake up this morning to a full battery and a warm car. But let's take a look at those results. In the 24 hours of it just being outside, it lost 8% and was totally cold soaked when I went out to drive it. But when I jumped in, the car was ready to go right away, and although the acceleration was limited at first, it was fine on the city street driving. Just a little slow getting up to highway speeds, but it did do it. And on that drive, I went 13.1 miles down and back in a loop on the interstate. And it cost a lot of energy to warm the whole system up that quickly. So in those few miles, we burned 12% of the remaining battery, down from 51 to 39% overall. But the rate of that loss was decreasing as the car warmed up, so it wouldn't have kept going at that rate. So jumping in a cold-soaked car and getting on the interstate is doable, but you're probably going to want to start a little bit slower first, or pre-warm the car in place, or find a charging station that isn't too far away from when you're getting on the interstate. So as for the ice fishing trip we discussed with the cousins, I would have no problem leaving the car out in temperatures like this for a day or two. No issues whatsoever. But if you are ice fishing, chances are you're not sleeping out on the ice. You're probably going back to a cabin if it's not right on the lake, not too far away. And just plugging in to 120 volt power overnight will give you much better results than what I saw here in the driveway. So no worries, but always use your best judgment and be smart when doing anything in temperatures this cold. Thanks for watching, have a great day, and I hope this video has helped put your mind at ease about dealing with an EV in the cold. If you have found it interesting or enjoyed it, please consider giving it a like or hitting subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. But thanks again. Have a great day, and stay warm.